Hey everybody, this is Dream, and today we're going to talk about the potential hiring of Mark Pope. Now, Mark Pope at Kentucky played here in the 90s. He played on the championship team in 96. He was a good player for us. He played for Rick Pitino. Those are some of the things that a lot of our fan base should actually like about him, simply because he is a member of Big Blue Nation and he loves Kentucky. Even since he's been at BYU, he's done things for the University of Kentucky, talking about us and stuff like that, and saying how much he loves UK and the fans and stuff like that. So that's a lot of the positives of this hire. Now I know this hire sounds a little bit strange considering the fact that we were going after Scott Drew and Dan Hurley and Billy Donovan. And then we had a bunch of people we all feel like were left on the table that didn't really get a call, like Rick Pitino or Bruce Pearl. There's some other guys, the Arizona's coach, and a couple other coaches from around the country. However, I don't think Mark Pope is a bad hire. Now, a lot of fans are probably going to be critical of this, and I do think Mitch Barnhart should be fired for the way he handled this, as Mitch Barnhart typically doesn't pay too close attention to what the fans are looking for. Now, I just think that maybe Mark Pope is actually what our fans want. Maybe it's just too early for him. For the record, he plays a fast-paced, razzle-dazzle kind of basketball, which our fan base has been desperate to have for a long time. They play intense basketball. They play hard defense. Now, the defensive ratings here are not particularly great, but I think when you get better talent, like you're going to be able to get at Kentucky, then those numbers can probably improve. He has had a couple good years defensively there at BYU. They haven't been bad, and their offense has been really good, especially the last couple of years, with one exception, maybe the 2023 team. But he was pretty young that year. So it's also really hard to recruit at BYU, so that definitely adds into this here. But if we look at their other data, I mean, they are effective. Field goal rating is good. Their offense is fun, and if you look at some of the video of them, and I invite you to look that up, they run some very fun offensive things. He definitely runs an offense that our fan base should like quite a bit, and so that is one of the real big positives. The other big positive is that he is going to embrace everything that is our fan base, and that is something that is important, something that I think Scott Drew was somewhat scared of. Whereas Mark Pope has been in the fishbowl already, he knows what our fan base expects, and as long as we give him the support, I think he'll embrace it and he'll be able to put out a product that our fan base will love. We just got to give him a chance to do that. Now, they also run and gun at BYU. They're going to shoot threes. They shoot good. They play a razzle dazzle style of basketball, a lot like what we are used to at Kentucky back when Pitino was here. If he can get that defense down, or even hire the right coaches for that, then I definitely think that there's a possibility that he can really make a bunch of moves here. If we look at the recruits that BYU's had since he's been there, I mean, they're not really the highest rated recruits ever, but I am, if he can get the good recruits here and run the offense and defense that he runs there, his chance of success is really high. He's also a very smart coach, and he plays to your advantages. We're not going to have those situations like we had with Calipari, where we're up three or down three, and it seems like that there's just a lot of lackadaisical stuff happening. Mark Pope has a lot of history showcasing that he knows how to coach those situations. That will definitely be a positive for Kentucky and a definite positive for our fan base. We won't be having to pull our hair out every 2 minutes because we're just like, what are you doing on this last second play? I also think that if Reed Sheppard comes back, he will fit into this offense very nicely, and I think that he'll be able to improve from a defensive perspective as well. And so hopefully he decides to come back and play for Mark in the first year at least. I don't think that this is nearly as bad of a hire as a lot of people are going to give it credit to, or going to claim it is, and simply that is because of his history at Kentucky and the fact that he's doing pretty well at BYU, all things considered. Now, the big down for him, honestly, is going to be the fact that he's only made the NCAA tournament twice in his, 9 years in college basketball. However, he was at Utah Valley. I mean, how do you really expect him to do much there? And then at BYU, where it's just very hard to be successful at, and he's managing to be pretty good. So I think that he has some potential here. Obviously, not having a single NCAA tournament win is definitely a issue, but maybe he can get that here and then build on that going forward year to year. I think he has the potential to be successful here. It's definitely not the easiest road that we could have taken, but I do think from a long-term perspective, he could be the type of guy that could be here for 15, 20 years and actually have a couple championships and things like that. Whereas when you hire like Rick Pitino or something, at most he's going to be here 3 to 5 more years. If you got, even if we had gotten Drew from Baylor, I mean, the ups and downs that he could potentially have would have definitely probably eroded on him, especially with his mentality not really fitting our fan base, things like that. Whereas with Mark Pope, he has that mentality that he loves our fans, he loves the program, so that alleviates a lot of the stressors of that aspect of it. Obviously, he's going to have to perform, and he's going to have to build a team out of nothing, basically, and hopefully convince maybe 1 or 2 guys to come back or one guy from the recruiting class to stay here. But with that said, he's going to have a lot of opportunity. He's going to have to build a team now, and hopefully he can get a couple guys maybe from BYU to follow him, and then get some guys that came here last season to retain, like Shepard. I could even see some of the other players come hang out and try to play for him for a year at least, and then try to get that transfer portal and potentially get 1 or 2 of the recruits. Definitely Perry, but maybe even some of the recruits will come here. But I do think most of them will go to Arkansas. But even if one of them doesn't, and they keep one, that's still certainly going to be helpful. I don't necessarily think this is the best hire, and I would definitely have attempted to get some of the other guys that were on the list before I was going to hire Mark Pope. But I don't think it's nearly as bad of a hire as a lot of people are kind of feeling, and that is simply because he's going to play a style of basketball that we like as Kentucky fans. He's already part of Big Blue Nation. The risk when it comes to him not getting it or meeting the expectation that our fans want is not going to be the issue. The issue will straight up be, can he recruit the players and get the defense and get the offense the way we want? If he can get those things, he'll have a lot of chance to be successful and to win in March. Obviously, he hasn't proven that yet because he hasn't won in March before, but he's going to have the opportunity, and we might as well embrace it and let's go. If anybody can succeed at Kentucky, a former Kentucky basketball player who played for one of the toughest coaches at Kentucky, has that ability, and he's already proven that he is that type of coach at BYU. And so if he can get over the next hump, which is actually winning in March, which he'll get the opportunity to do here, then he can end up being a legend for Kentucky. So let's give him a chance, and let's make sure the boosters get on board and make sure the NIL money comes in flowing so that he has every opportunity to be successful here. Get the best players he can, build the best program and team. Obviously, we have to care about the players. We have to care about the program and winning, and that's what we're going to do. We're not going to be playing the questionable, who knows what the heck are we doing basketball like we did with Calipari. We're going to have a proven system. We're going to run that system, and we're going to try to run it down people's throats. And one thing you don't have to worry about Mark Pope, he's going to want to absolutely destroy Arkansas. He's going to want to destroy Louisville and Duke and North Carolina because he's already been doing that since he's been a basketball player here. So that is all the great things about Pope and all the things that I'm concerned about. I definitely don't think he was the most qualified person for the job that would have taken it, but I do think that if you're just wanting to say, I want the guy that wants to be here the most, he's definitely the top 3 in that category, and he's definitely in top 3 when it comes to his intensity to win the games the Kentucky fans want, which are our IMSA rivals, obviously, in Louisville and Arkansas and Duke and North Carolina and Tennessee, and then he's also going to want to win in March. And he's proven as a player he can win in March, and he's proven as a coach that he has the capability to build a quality offense and defense that can win. Now he just has to put it together and win here. And if we give him the resources to do it, I think he can be successful. So let's go.